Steem Musings number 2. Well, here we are with the second smart cast of Steem Musings. And, every time I think about Steem Musings, because Steem Musings to a certain extent was inspired by the DTube Smartcasts or the DTube Smart Snaps, I keep thinking every time, why don't I try to structure it like I do the DTube Smart Snaps, in which I have the 3 categories of the economy, the social, and the leadership. But it's DTube Smart Snaps is something that is particular to DTube, and so the format I thought about it. The format isn't really compatible with all of the different activities that I have on Steemit or the Steem blockchain. So I've decided to just kind of keep it old school, like the Tino takes, in which I just look for different issues that come up in my Steemit activities and go with them. So number 1 on the list is from ACOM. Tron wallets catching up with historical transactions. Now, I suppose most of you would have noticed that something was going on with the TRX rewards that we receive on the Steemit platform. Now, I believe that there's probably a lot of people that don't really pay attention to the TRX. I think a lot of people, I think there's a lot of Steemians, not a vast majority. I'm sure that the vast majority, because we're all interested in crypto, but I think a lot of people don't really pay much attention to the TRX. So some people may have not even noticed. But what happened was, at some point, the rewarding system from the TRX, from the Tron Foundation, was just stopped. We just stopped receiving rewards. And for the ACOM project, that was a big problem, because the rewards that are given out for shareholders, for those who are staking ACOM tokens on the Steem engine, one of the benefits is being able to receive dividends on a weekly basis of the TRX rewards that are earned by the ACOM account. And so I think it went on for like maybe 9-10 days. But now the rewards are rolling in. I'm seeing them rolling in. I go to my Tron wallet and I see them coming in. So it's going to be a really nice week. When this week rolls around and, we hit that Thursday, because it's usually every Thursday that the ACOM team gives out the dividends of TRX. So those are rolling back in. And I also wanted to take this opportunity because it's you know what? Look, in the world of crypto, there's just everywhere you look, there's invest in this, invest in that. There's a new token. There's this token, there's that token, is this project, that project. You got ROI here, return on. So people don't really know what to really go into, what's beneficial. And I can understand that. I mean, you got quote unquote salesmen coming at you left and right. And, you have to make decisions based on what is really beneficial for you. So it's not always easy to spot these kinds of things. But I've been going on about this. I keep re-steaming a lot of the posts that ACOM puts out there. They have a great team. I have a great level of communication with them, both in private and in public on the Steemit platform. And it really is a shame that people, but I understand it. Like I said, I'm very understanding of why certain opportunities can easily pass us by, because we're just being bombarded left and right with, invest in this coin, invest in that coin. And I have always said, I don't invest in a lot of coin. Even if people, tell me, oh, you really missed out. I don't really miss out on anything, because those small choices that I make, they're good for me and I'm happy with that. I stick with them. So I'm stacking up my ACOMs. I finally got up into the 5th place, the 5th largest stakeholder, not including the ACOM account, because the ACOM account is going to empty out eventually. And then it's going to be an interesting ride once those 10,000 tokens are distributed out. But look, I mean, I have seen no loss whatsoever. I mean, I invest every single week in ACOM, getting those tokens. I get nice upvotes, both free and both free, because there's also a rewarding system. Every 20 tokens that you purchase, you get another token, which is ACUV, which is a token that you can use in order to gain an upvote for whatever post you want. So you send the token, much like what you see on the bid bots in Steem, in the Steem It platform, where you send a certain amount, you send 5 Steem, and then you send them the link to the post that you want to have rewarded, and then you get an upvote on a certain percentage. This is different because this is not a bid bot. You get a 100% upvote from an account that has nearly 150,000 in Steem power. So it's really, and when the price of Steem goes up, you ought to see that upvote. It's a nice upvote. I've seen it go up to over $5 SBD. And every week I invest. I don't know, maybe the people who are following the work that I do will begin to see that now that I'm in the 5th position as the 5th largest stakeholder, maybe they'll take it a little bit more seriously, because I'm letting you people know this is a seriously win-win-win it's a triple win situation. I've gotten my investment back plus some, and continues to be that way. I get great upvotes. I haven't even used all of my tokens to get more upvotes, because the ACOM team is upvoting me every week. Every week I'm getting free upvotes. I get the one upvote that I pay for, quote unquote pay for. I use my token in order to get that. And then on top of that, we get TRX. I mean, we get TRX rewards every week, and so talk about putting your money into something and getting a return on investment. This is a hell of a return on investment. So listen, people, for those who have ears to hear this, I'm saying it once again. I'm not going to be saying it too much more, because I'm going to keep moving in on it because it's a really good project, and I'm very fascinated by where this could go. I really want to see those 10,000 tokens get sold. So I can, so let's see where we go next. I want to see where the ACOM team is going to take this next. So, open your eyes to that one, people. Let's get on to Symbionts. My favorite Symbionts crew has posted up a semi-warning, a kind of warning. There's a website out there that's a condenser. And what a condenser is basically the Steem It app that you use is what you use in order to interact with the Steem blockchain in order to get your rewards. So there's a new site out there, and it's SEUPUFF, Supuff. They could have chosen a better name, because that is a really bad name for a platform. There's a Supuff. What the hell? Maybe it's a different language. I don't know. I don't know anything about it. But I know there's a warning, especially in these times. There's a phishing warning here coming from the Symbionts crew. And you guys, anybody who's been following my work for over a year now, I have a great level of respect. And so and the Symbionts crew really cares a lot about the security of the system. So we have to be careful, especially late. It seems like things have calmed down ever since we had the scandal with Steem Auto, and we had all kind of crazy stuff going on with people stealing passwords and breaking into accounts and all this other jazz. It's not a good time right now to be trusting anyone other than steemit.com with your keys. So that warning is there. Heed that warning, please, people, because we don't want to continue to hear more and more stories about people having their accounts stolen, and funds stolen, and tokens stolen, and just all kinds of negative news. We don't need it. We really don't need it. The Communities of the Month support program, the applications are rolling in for October, And the Italy community is really, we're just struggling with it because we keep applying every month, and we look at the post and look, it's a really excellent idea. The communities, the Steem It team wants to encourage community, as it should, and I've been on about this for over a year now. The Steem It team is trying to make the platform grow. I mean, we can't all just sit within this platform and pat each other on the back and reward one another and vote one another, and just kind of sit comfortably and say, wow, isn't it great that this little small group that we have here is just munching away at all these rewards? We have to bring new users in. Otherwise, eventually the pool dries up. In fact, I went into the Symbionts Discord, as I do every once in a while when I need to know something, when I'm curious about something, when I have some kind of hypothesis. And I was concerned about seeing in the trending page, the Steem It trending page, posts that have $500 and $400. And so I went and asked the Symbionts crew to help me understand, could this become a problem? I mean, if there's a reward pool that distributes out rewards to all of the users who are posting and voting on Steem It, could it get to the point where that reward pool could at some point dry up or empty out? I mean, what happens when $500 post becomes $1,000 post? And if there's, and be clear, I have absolutely nothing against the South Koreans. I mean, I did a show, I forget when it was, and I talked about, I put the South Korean takeover with a question mark, and it was just it was me being humorous. It wasn't me being critical. It was me being humorous, and curious about what's going on. I mean, look, they went off on their own, and they did their thing. They are very successful. And there's a small group. It's a small group in comparison to the overall Steem It, the Steem It user base, and in comparison to what you get in social medias. The South Korean group is really small, but they've supported one another. They've invested. And so fair play to them. They got what they got, and they're going to continue to get what they continue to get, but they're going to continue growing. So, what happens, when you have 20 people that are all getting $1,000 posts and they're posting up every day? Is there not the possibility that at some point the reward pool could kind of really shrink down, because rewards are being quote unquote printed up every day, because that's how we mint our Steem. The minting of our Steem, the creation of Steem, comes from a reward pool that only prints a certain amount. So to the one extent it's infinite, but to another extent it's not. So, today, this actual moment, there's only a certain amount of Steem in the reward pool. So, I mean, if you get a monster amount of posts that are being posted up, because you can post up every 5 minutes, and those are being rewarded, and you got thousands and thousands of Steem, could it not be possible that at some point the reward pool shrinks? And the response that I got from the Symbionts team was that it could seem that way, because the reward pool will never actually empty out completely, because new Steem is always being printed and minted. But what could happen is that the shrinkage will happen if too much of that Steem is distributed out to a small group of people, then other people will get smaller rewards. That also means that the South Korean community will also get smaller rewards. If the reward pool shrinks, it shrinks for everyone. It's not like they grab everything and then continue to grab everything. If the reward pool shrinks down, then they will get less rewards as well. But in my concern about that, enters in this idea of the communities, where the Steem It team now is trying to really encourage the communities. At first, when you did the applications, when we were doing the applications, I think I think there was the idea that maybe there wouldn't be that many communities, but the Steamer team, as always, should always know that whenever they do something, they're going to get an onslaught of responses. So they've got tons and tons of applications to sift through, and rightly so. They are making the criteria. They're expanding out the criteria more and more, so that they can encourage more activity, which is proper, more promotion, and more onboarding. And so with the Italy team, I mean, look, here in Italy, it's not really that easy. But we're looking for ways. We're looking for ways to promote more and more Steem and Steemit outside of the Steemit blockchain, the Steem blockchain and the Steemit app, because we need to grow. I mean, the Steemit, look, compared to many social media platforms, we just do not have a strong user base. Let's just be frank about it. We don't have a strong user base. We should have a whole lot more people, even though, to be honest with you, if 500,000 new users came in tomorrow, that would seriously affect our rewards. So on a selfish level, for me, it could stay just the way it is, but I don't want to look at it on that level, because then you risk losing. I mean, you risk failure. If you don't get more and more people coming in to use it, more and more promotion, which then leads to more and more investment, then, I've said it in the past, it just becomes cronyism. It just becomes a small group of people who pass Steem around to one another, basically. That's basically what happens. So the community's issue right now is really a challenge. We're working on it. In the Italy, we're working on it. We have several ideas that we're bouncing around, trying to figure out how can we better promote Steem it outside of the app, and how can we onboard. Again, it's a challenge because we are dealing with the Italian language. The Italian nation is large, right? But they're not really big into crypto. It's getting better. Trust me, it's getting better. It's becoming more popular. I'm hearing people know what Bitcoin is now. It's popping up in the news. And so Italians know how to use the word Bitcoin, and they know what it is. They know it's a digital currency, but they don't really know much about how to get into it. So we're trying to work on that onboarding aspect for Italians. And then, we can have this part of the world covered while other people cover other parts of the world. So the Communities a Month support program is still going forward. There's lots of applications. It's not easy to win. We have the Italy community amongst ourselves. We like to believe that we qualify because we've answered all the questions. We've answered them in a satisfactory way, but we also are very understanding that we need to go beyond what it is that we've had up until this point. We have to have more active users in the community, more promotion on the outside, and more onboarding of new people who could potentially bring in more investment. And finally, on a final note, my man Steve Palmer, Remlaps, we have been dialoguing in the DTube Smart Snap number 4, and I just got a comment. The last comment that I got really had me thinking, and I said, okay, this is something that I wouldn't mind including in the Steem Musings, because he brought up something that I wanted to address. Here's his words. Peripherally related, one of the things I've been expecting from the Tron ecosystem is some sort of integration among DLive, BTFS, and Steemit. No sign of it so far, though, aside from the sidebar advertising. So maybe that was a bad guess. I keep hoping, though. I think it would benefit all three platforms. Now, when I have the time, I'm going to respond, because it's a back and forth that we're having there in that DTube Smart Snap. And I left the link if you want to go check that out, and if you want to get involved in the conversation. But what it made me think of is it made me reflect on why isn't the Tron Foundation doing more with Steemit. And I immediately came up with, if I can remember them, because they're, it's kind of, they're things that float around in my head during the day. And then I say, okay, I'm going to do this later on. I'm going to do this Steem Musings and I'm going to talk about this. And it was three things. And let's see if I can remember them. One was, the disinterest on the part of Justin Sun. And I'll talk about that. The other thing was, what was the other thing? The concern that whatever we do with Steem or Steemit could be copied by Hive, because in this conversation that I'm having with Remlapse, the issue we're also talking about the issue of Hive. And then there was a third aspect that I can't quite remember at this moment, but maybe while I'm talking, it'll come back to me. First and foremost, it is my belief that Justin Sun has a certain level of disinterest in Steemit because it's not high up on the priority of things that he is working on, that things that are profitable. I think that there's more being invested into Steemit than what is coming out. So in other words, from an entrepreneurial perspective, it's not gaining profit. It's not profitable. There's more being put in than what is coming out. Whereas maybe the other issue, not the other issue. No, I just see I'm confusing things here now because the third issue was the issue of security. Now I remembered. So that's going to be the third. The other projects, whether it be D-Live or whether it be BTFS or whatever it is that Justin Sun and Tron Foundation are working on, is far superior in gaining profit than the Steemit thing. Because look, it's and I just talked about the user base thing, right? So now I tie this into this. In about a year and a half that the Tron Foundation has been involved with Steemit, the user base has not really grown. Come on, people. And I just got finished talking about this. If we do not grow the user base, for what reason should the Tron Foundation put more into it, put more effort into this? The Steemit team and Steemit Inc. really have to do something quote unquote spectacular so that Justin Sun and the Tron Foundation, turn their head and say, oh, what the hell is going on over here? Let's go check it out. Because it is my belief that there is more coming into Steemit, more is being given to Steem and Steemit than what we are giving back. So obviously there's no incentive there to really dig into things and really get into the investing. That's one. Number two, I think that, the second thing was the idea that whatever we do on Steemit or Steem can be copied by Hive. And I think Justin Sun and the Tron Foundation, they want to avoid that. And these are my personal opinions and my personal beliefs. I believe that the integration of the TRX into the Steemit platform was a very clever, smart move that the Tron Foundation and Justin Sun and the Steemit team, they knew for an absolute fact would not be copied by Hive. Could you imagine? Why would Hive copy the TRX integration? Number one, Hive is practically anti-Tron, anti-Justin Sun. So they would not do something like that. One. Two, even if they tried to do it with another coin, they have to fund it. So, it was a very clever move to incentivize people to choose Steem over Hive. That's my personal belief, and those are my personal opinions. Someone had said, I think it was the Symbionts crew that said that the SBD, the spike in the high value of the SBD is due to speculators. I have a different opinion. I believe that it is the Tron Foundation and Justin Sun that is also putting a lot into that in order to, again, incentivize people to choose Steem over Hive, because Hive does not have that kind of funding. They don't have those deep pockets to be able to get the Hive dollar up to the levels that we're getting with the Steem dollar. So that's the other issue. Because look, the smart media tokens, the SMTs, they're ready. right? But I think there's a question of if we released the SMTs and because it is the property of Steemit Inc. It belongs to Steemit Inc. But if Steemit Inc. puts it out there as open source, then it can be copied by Hive, and it could be, it can be basically can be copied by Hive. So this is still a question, even though we're a year and a half on, this is still a question of what happened with the Steem Hive split and the decisions that have to be made by Justin Sun or the Tron Foundation and Steemit Inc. and the Steemit team. Those decisions still have to revolve around what happened with the split. And then this leads to the third issue, which is the split. The third issue, why Justin Sun or the Tron Foundation or Steemit Inc. Cannot successfully promote Steemit or Steem because of the security issue. Look, if I'm Justin Sun and I'm sitting down with another millionaire, right? And I'm talking about Steemit and I'm talking about Steem. Do you actually think that that other millionaire is just going to say, okay, buddy, yeah, I trust you. I'm going to dump some. That other person, those big investors, when they go dig into the background of Steemit and Steem, they're going to come up with the problem that we continuously have now that has not been solved, which is what happened with the Steem Hive split, what happened with the freezing of accounts, what happened with the zeroing out of accounts, what happened with the transferring of tokens from one account to another account, from several accounts to another account. Something that is sacrilegious. It's just absolutely, you just don't do it in the crypto world. And I think what the problem is that I think Justin Sun and the Tron Foundation, having Tron be a hybrid delegated proof of stake, they have far more super representatives, which is the equivalent of witnesses. They think they have 101 or 103, something like that, which is a whole lot more difficult to manipulate. Any smart investor with lots of money is immediately going to go Google Justin Sun, Tron Foundation, Steemit, Steem blockchain, whatever. It's going to come up what the hell happened. It's going to come up. And when they dig deeper, they're going to find out and they're going to say, oh my God, is that what really happened? Accounts were frozen. Funds were transferred by the top witnesses that were entrusted to safeguard the security of the blockchain. That falls on the head of Hive, but it also falls back on Steem, because if you don't fix it, then it's still there. The problem is still there, and it can be exploited. I mean, you can tell me all you want. Oh, well, no, they wouldn't do that. They wouldn't do that. They wouldn't do that. It's not a question of whether they would do it or not. It's a question of, we in the crypto world are used to the idea of having a trustless system. It won't happen on Bitcoin. Bitcoin will not internally hard fork, freeze people's accounts, or transfer funds from one account. The miners just will not accept that. It will be rejected. Any blockchain that is not delegated proof of stake, that doesn't, have a selected number of block producers, they're not going to do that. It's just not going to happen. As soon as news gets out, people just won't run that version, and it'll fail. Any internal hard fork attempt on any serious blockchain, Dash, Litecoin, Bitcoin, it's just not going to happen. But it could happen, and it's present. That issue remains present within the Steem system. So until we get that stain off of our face, we can't show our face around saying, hey, come invest. Come invest. Your money is safe. Your funds are safe. Your tokens are safe. No, unfortunately, they are not. And I live with this discomfort on a day-to-day basis. Yes, it's not happening. Yes, I'm having a great time with Steemit. I'm having a wonderful time in the community, but I live with this thorn in the side of my mind all the time, thinking, wow, that problem has not been fixed. Steem is not promotable. And as a consequence, Neither is Steem It. Steem It is more promotable because it's easy just to promote it as a social media app. You say, hey guys, look, this is a social media app. You might get some crypto. So, that part of it, you get some social media enthusiasts to come in and post up. But on the Steem side of things, the cryptocurrency side of things, no, it's a problem, and it will continue to be a problem, especially if we want to attract big investors. Big investors are going to look deeply into where the hell they are putting their money. Listen, people, that is it for Steem Musings number 2. Thank you, as always, for the support. Thank you very much for listening and for your patience in having gotten through 30 minutes as opposed to 10 minutes. I knew I wouldn't respect this timing thing. I knew I wouldn't respect all this. I got 4 issues now. I promised myself I was going to stick to 1 issue. I promised myself I was going to stick to 10 minutes. And I also knew that I wouldn't be able to maintain that promise. Listen, thanks everyone for your patience, and thank you for listening.